Hey, Katie here, and welcome to the first installment of my 2019 exam marker video diary. This may well be the last ever exam marker video diary that I make. Who knows? Because as many of you will be aware, the Queensland system for exams is changing. So this is the last ever session of Year 12 QCS exams. Now, I am still going to be working with the QCAA, but I'm actually now going to be involved in developing the new exams for the new system. So whilst that is great in terms of, what I'm getting to learn from behind the scenes and dig even deeper and work at an even higher level in terms of exams, how they work, and how students can perform awesomely in them, I'm not going to be able to share some of the nitty-gritty detail because it's all very James Bond and a lock and key. But of course, I will be sharing everything that I'm able to in terms of strategies and concepts. So all good news, just times of change. Now, I want to start off by talking to you about the questions that I'm actually marking in this round of exams. I'm going to be marking many hundreds, sometimes I get up to 1,000 exam papers. We have a section in groups of exam markers that we mark, so I want to talk to you about the section that I'm marking. As you probably know by now, if you've seen any of my previous years' diaries, I always opt to choose to mark the toughest questions. So there is a 4-star item in here, which is the highest ranking star item on the paper, because I think it gives the greatest insight into exams and mark schemes and how questions are written and how they're marked. And I know that, in the community that we have as Rock Solid Study, we have a lot of students who are operating or want to be operating at those top levels and need to know exactly how to break through some of those top grade boundaries. So I'm going to start off by giving you a quick overview of how some of this all ties together and what it means for students. I'm not a fan of this first question just because I don't love the descriptions and there's not too much to really say about it because they're just matching up. But it is an apply level command, if you're wondering, because students have to be able to apply the information that's given to those visuals. What I do really want to talk about, I'm not going to talk about that question much in the rest of this video diary, but I really do want to talk about item 11 and item 12. Now, item 11 is a 4-star item. So like I said, that's the highest level of cognitive ability required on this test. It's a high level because it requires students to create and analyze. Now, if you're not familiar with Bloom's taxonomy, then definitely come to one of my future free parent webinars because I talk a lot about that in there and why it's so important. But it's create because it asks students to suggest a message that can be drawn from the sculpture. So they have to come up with their own message. But likewise, it also says explain how that message is conveyed. Now, that isn't actually asking them to explain. They have to analyze because they have to explain how features on that sculpture help convey that message. And that is an analysis level task. So this is why I really want to get into this because it's so important for students to really understand these levels of cognitive ability or levels of Bloom's taxonomy and be able to look deeper than the basics of command words. Now, I talk a lot about command words, but in my actual trainings, my paid trainings, I talk about some of the little nuances and details within them because it says explain, but it's actually analyze. Now, I have a 3-step system for analysis. I have talked about it on another blog, so I will link to it. Wherever on the page you are watching this, I will link to it, okay? So, or just type into my blog site 3 steps for analysis or something like that, and it will come up for you. Next one, so that is a create and analyze. This one is a 3-star item, the next one, item 12, because this is an apply and explain. Now, apply is 1 step down from create and evaluate, which are the top ones, and explain is 1 step below analyze, and analyze is right there in the middle. Okay, so you can see why the first one was a little bit higher and this one's sort of hovering here in the middle. They have to write a reply to a criticism. So what they have to do is use the information that's been given to construct a counter argument and explain the reasons for that argument. Okay, so I just wanted to explain those, say that it's really clear why these get given these star items. It's not just to do with how much is required to be written, it's actually the level that students are needing to work at. So for students, here's the takeaway. You've got to get really good at knowing what level of cognitive ability a question is asking for or operating at, and therefore how you need to structure your response and the level of detail required in that response. Okay, now I'll dig deep on, some of the things in the mark scheme, how these get written, what I see students doing, what I see students not doing in the next few videos of this video diary. So until then, I'll see you soon, and make sure you've got your little copy of these so you can follow along. Catch you soon. Bye.